Thanks very much. Andrew, let's turn to you. You deal with small businesses all the time. You've helped provide services as part of a managed service provider, and you brought a coalition of managed service providers together. What challenges do you see small business facing today with rising cybersecurity threats and so much remote working?
Yeah, well, Phil, again, thanks for having me. And, I think in order to look at what the challenges that small businesses face today, we have to go back, to pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, cybersecurity really wasn't necessarily a focus of a lot of small businesses. And I'm not faulting them for that. If you think about it, our media portrays large entities being attacked, and that's what makes the news. And there's really no school, right? I mean, if you think about it, in business school or building a business, an entrepreneur these days doesn't say, hey, look, I need to allocate X amount of dollars to IT and security, and there's metrics for that, and let me explain to you what security controls are. There are schools, and I'm air quoting, for small businesses, right, around that if you're regulated. So if you're a small community bank, right, or you're a healthcare agency, you have a school, and that school test shows up on a regular basis, right, with compliance and regulation. And so now, let's come fast forward, right, during the pandemic and where we are today. First off, if you think about it, we, give or take, help me with this, but we really didn't shut down as a country until like towards the end of February, March, I want to say. Is that about right timeline? So
Marchish.
Marchish, right? So the rest of the world was shutting down, right? If we think about China, we think about Italy and Spain and everything. Well, the attackers are innovative. They don't sit around and wait. So by the time we took our workforce remote, they were already well equipped in terms of how they were going to plan their phishing campaigns, how they were going to do their social engineering to get people to websites, etc. And so we were facing this behind the curve, if you will. And then again, just quickly on a positive note, not all small businesses did poorly. Again, I'll use the banks and healthcare as an example. Many of these organizations that the MSPs, and that stands for managed service provider, basically an IT firm that is your IT department outsourced. The banks, many of the banks and healthcare providers actually had pandemic policies in place and did simulations, commonly known as tabletop exercises, and really executed them very well. The challenge, and we're going to talk about this because I know you asked me about resources, I think at some point in here, but then the supply chain, right? Something that we all felt, even in our personal lives, going to the store, trying to get toilet paper, right? So we're going to talk more about supply chain, but I'll kind of close with a few last points here, and that's challenges around secure remote access, right? We might have been a small business. Let's say we had 50 employees, and if 3, 4, 5 of our people were remote and they accessed our network through VPN or remote desktop protocol, which I don't recommend, but, or Citrix or something like that. Now, all of a sudden, overnight, we're going from 3 to 50. So we weren't prepared as a company to handle that. And again, those protocols like an RDP, the hackers are looking for that port to open up, and that was exploited immediately when it was. And lastly, Phil, I'll just say that I heard a really funny poll, and I don't know if you guys have heard this. It's what shepherded in your digital transformation in 2020? Was it your CEO, CIO, or COVID? And I think for a lot of us, we know what the answer was. So let me turn it back to you,